And this woman said to me, she goes, real estate is 24/7. And I was like, it can be if you allow it to be.
Mm-hmm.
However, you can also choose to put barriers up and parameters and create it like so that you have a life. Joanne and I, our vision was that we wanted to create a real estate business where we can help as many families as we can, but to allow us to then help our families, to be
Mm-hmm.
there for our families physically and financially. And that's
I
really
love
the
that.
foundation of our business.
Well, Tom, good to see you.
Nice to see you too, Nicole. It's great to be back on Realty. Thanks for
I
having me.
know you are honestly one of the best guests we have, so I'm so excited to be here again with you today. Can you, for anyone that hasn't listened in the past, just give a little introduction on yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Tom Matthews, and I'm one of the co-owners of the Tom and Joanne team. We're located out in Concord, Mass. We've been business partners for 21 years. Can you believe that? Longer. We've been working together longer than I've been married to my wife, Amanda. And we've now, I think we're starting our 16th year with Gibson Sotheby's.
That's awesome. And what I
We're
love,
excited.
I think I've known you since the beginning, or at
Yes.
least like close to it.
Yeah. I think you were
Honestly,
still in college.
yeah. Genuinely, what I love is I've watched you, like, you take everything head on. Like, there are so many challenges. We were just talking about that. And you're just like, I feel like you're always so proactive to just evolve, like, or like get proactive on how do we solve this going forward? Not just like banging your head against the wall. And I love that part of both of you guys, like the way you run your team. It's like ever evolving is the only way I can describe it. You're always curious, you're always asking questions. And so I feel like you're just such a great guest for the podcast because you're always diving into different things.
Yeah. My dad told me when I was a kid, he's like, Tom, you will learn something new every day until you die. And he's like, if you keep that attitude up, as you said, you can evolve your life, because sometimes people say we don't change as humans. And that's, you don't change unless you want to change, unless you put forward the habit. Most people live the same 6 months 100 times over.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've decided is I just want to continue to evolve and be the best version of me that I can be for my
I love
family
that.
and for my clients.
Yeah, and you are for sure for your clients. I'm always impressed with what you're doing, honestly. And we've gotten closer late. We're now neighbors, so
I know.
more to come on that front. But if you can walk me through, I guess to kick off, just I know there's so much seasonality to the real estate business. And today,
Yes.
the topic that we wanted to discuss is just mastering consistency to become more productive.
Yes.
And you guys are so consistent. I feel like you're very structured. And where the business is so seasonal, can you walk us through your structure throughout the year and even perhaps from week to week?
Yeah, I'd be happy to go into that, and I'll do a deep dive because I would love to help more agents become more consistent. Because one of the things that Joanne and I are super proud of is that we've been working together for 21 years and we've averaged 35 units per year, which is a great average in an industry where people go up and down. And one of the things that we've focused a lot of time and energy on is creating systems. Because real estate's a business where you literally, as the agent, we're all 1099s. As much as company management would like to say, this is what you need to do, you can't. And so it's really up to the agent to create systems and I think to time block to ensure that they're doing the same consistent work week in and week out. Because we work in the Boston region and our business is very seasonal because of the weather and the schools. So really like my big season in Concord, Mass starts in March, really busy through the end of June, end of school year. Then everyone kind of travels over the summer and then it picks up again in the fall, really busy through say like, and Halloween. And then it kind of dies off for the winter time. And so it's like as agents, we have to continue to work even when nothing else is going on. We were just sharing a story that this past week, Joanne and I did more volume in one week than we've done the last 4 months. And that work was built upon by the consistent work we do on a week in and week out basis. So if you want an example, I'll just share with people. Like every Monday, Joanne and I call it Marketing Monday. And we have a list of paper, we keep meeting minutes, and we meet from 10 to 12. And we do work on our Google business page. We do work on our YouTube page. We're doing our social media posts, and we're spending 4 hours doing dedicated prospecting. We are sending handwritten notes. So Joanne and I, an Excel spreadsheet for our entire database. She starts at the A's, I start at the Z's, and we each write 5 handwritten notes. And we just write to people and just say, we're just grateful for you being our clients. Thank you for thinking of us if you have a real estate need, and thank you in advance if you can give our name to any friends and family members.
Hmm.
It's amazing how much feedback people get. And it's just that consistency, right?
Right.
Everyone listening to this call can write 5 handwritten notes a week.
Hmm.
And it matters so much because we're in a digital world. People are getting emails, they're getting postcards. But when you write a handwritten note that's in a little envelope with a real stamp on it, people open them. I
Right.
have people call me all the time, be like, I got your note, thank you so much. Or they send me a message on Facebook or LinkedIn, got your note, I was thinking of you. And that's driven a tremendous amount of business.
Yeah, I love that because it really is. It's funny. I'm very complimentary of you today, but I feel like a lot of people are almost like addicted to the stress, like the cortisol
Yes,
addiction of this type of
yes,
business. And it's the same across the board. Anyone that touches the business, my role is a little bit different, but very similar, very
right,
parallel. And you could wake up every day and just put out fires. You could fill your
yes,
whole day with that. At some point, you start making fires when you get addicted to that kind of way of running your day. And a lot of people will sort of defend that by saying, well, it is really chaotic, right? And it's almost that busy badge of honor. It's like,
right.
it's so busy, like I can't be proactive. And it's not to say that sometimes that is the case. But with the structure that you have in place, I feel like even on the days that it really everything does go awry, because you have that to fall back on, you just pick right back up.
Right.
Versus just kind of being a victim every day to what's coming at you, because you can fill up 10 hours of work and just putting out fires every day if you want to.
100%. I was actually at my son's baseball practice yesterday at 4 o'clock. They're doing indoor training. And this woman said to me, she goes, real estate is 24/7. And I was like, it can be if you allow it to be.
Mm-hmm.
However, you can also choose to put barriers up and parameters and create it like so that you have a life. Joanne and I, our vision was that we wanted to create a real estate business where we can help as many families as we can, but to allow us to then help our families, to be
Mm-hmm.
there for our families physically and financially. And that's
I
the
love that.
foundation of our business. And,
That's
and so that takes discipline though. And I was telling a client today that Joanne and I have turned down more business this year than we've accepted. And we've either referred it out to other agents at Gibson Sotheby's, or we just flat out said no because it wasn't the right fit.
hmm
Because we feel it's really
yeah.
important that when you partner up with a realtor, you're going to be with them minimum 3 months, maybe a year, maybe longer. And you want to bring that good energy into your life, that you have a partner, not someone who's going to be yelling at you or blaming you or whatnot. Because for buyers right now, it might take 4 or 5 offers to get an accepted offer. And you don't want
Right.
every time they miss it for them to be yelling at you, what did you do wrong? It's
Right,
just,
right,
there's
right.
some intensity in this market.
Or just draining you and
Yeah,
then
exactly.
holding you back from.
Exactly. Yes.
So talk to me about how you do structure in that time to work, like people say, on the business or on your
Yes.
marketing and things like that.
Yes, we covered the marketing Monday. So the other thing we do is on Tuesdays, Joanne and I had a coach back in 2016 that talked to us about checking in with clients and also looking at the money. So every Tuesday from 9 to 1, Joanne and I look at our team LLC bank account. We make sure that the money we are spending is giving us a return on investment because realtors are so susceptible to being sold to. Every
Mm-hmm.
day there are solicitations in my email. I'm getting phone calls. And the big thing that we've learned over 21 years is where is the highest return of investment for our business? So right now, the highest return right now is we're doing a Google business page. We just got our 99th review. We have our YouTube channel. We have close to 350 videos and our repeat clients. So that Tuesday, we go through everything. We look at the activities. We really want to build a presence in Concord, Mass. So what activities have we done in Concord? And then we spend time communicating with our clients. So any buyers and sellers who are kind of looking or getting ready to be in the market, we will give them a Tuesday check-in and we tell them what we saw the past week with clients. So that when it's their time, when they get an accepted offer, or as a seller, they come to the market, they have better expectations.
And that's an easy thing, I just want to kind of drill
Yeah.
down into that, and that's what works for you. But that would be an easy thing for me too, like to apply because you're applying the same talk track to everybody. Because I think a lot
Exactly.
of people get overwhelmed with I'm going to reach out to 15 people, but like, what am I going to say? Well, it's
Yes.
all the same, and it's an add value. Like you're adding value,
Yes.
you're giving them some information versus just
Yes.
checking in.
Yeah, we write a note and we put it in Chat GPT to make it nicer, and then we send it out,
Hmm.
right? But then if you have an accepted offer, or if we were out with you this past weekend, the message might be a little bit more catered. But if you have an accepted offer, we're going to take you through the milestones that are going to happen this week. If you're buying a house, like what the loan officers are going to be doing, talking about surveyors, insurance, letting them know everything that's going to happen. And for the sellers, same. Tell them about the fact that a surveyor might show up at your house to do the final plat plan, and they're not going to give you any notice. And then an insurance person might show up. And what we're trying to do is to A, bulletproof the transaction, B, give everyone the proper expectations, and C, if something does come up, because there are so many people involved, because we have communicated with them, it's easier to put the fires out, and it makes the weeks much smoother for us. Wednesdays, I go to my BNI meeting, which I've done every Wednesday for 20 years. I do a one-to-one after that, and then by noontime, I'm picking my kids up from school, and we spend the rest of the afternoon together. So
That's
Wednesday's
awesome.
like a half day. I tell everyone, no meetings on Wednesdays. I'm like with my kids. And then Thursdays and Fridays are flex days. We keep them wide open. On Thursdays, we post our coffee with Tom and Joanne. We go and try and go to every broker tour in town, or we host our broker tours. And then we're showing houses Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as needed. And what I've told my family is that if I'm not needed, then we have a day off and we'll go do something fun. And if I am
Right.
needed, those are the days we show houses.
I love that. Yeah, it's funny. I would love to like drill down a little bit into that too, just in asking like how you do respond to clients with that in mind. Because I will admit, and I honestly was thinking like, should I even admit this? But even being in the industry myself, I have a 1 and a 3-year-old, and I'm so hesitant to share anything. I've actually taken a page out of your book from some of these conversations that we've had. And actually, in the new year, I've done a much better job of deciding and not just waking up and letting the day kind of run. But I'm very hesitant to share. So anytime I pick up the phone, and I've apologized a few times lately, and a lot of people are like, don't apologize if you hear kids in the background. It's like when you're in the business that you, like someone said to you straight up, you work 24/7, you feel like you're supposed to be working 24/7. So
Right.
even on a Sunday afternoon, I don't really like sharing that I'm home with my kids because I'm like, ooh, like I don't know if that's gonna look. And it's like we almost need to work together to just be like, as long as you're doing a good job,
Right.
that shouldn't matter. That might be more in our heads, but with this structure, with the way you run it and all of that in mind, like how do you respond to your clients?
I tell my clients the same thing, that in real estate, it's like open heart surgery. There are times when we are time of the essence, really critically important objectives need to happen, just like with surgery. But there's a lot of prep time. And there's a lot of things that are leading up to that. Because when you get an offer on the table, you have upwards of 24 hours to respond. Sometimes you have 12 hours. We are all on when offers are coming over. And we don't get surprised when offers come over because there's communication there, text messages, phone calls. So we know when an offer is coming over. So we make ourselves available when those high times come. But if we're like in the preparing a home for sale and it's Friday and the house is going on the market on Wednesday, we say to clients, listen, we're in the prep stage. If you contact us, if we're available, we'll respond immediately. If we're not available, we're either with clients or maybe with our family, we'll respond within 24 hours. And I have come to the conclusion that I use that as a test to see if this is the right client. Because if they push back to me and say, I don't care what you're doing, I want a response within minutes, then I might say to them, you're not the right client for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay with me because it's not
Yeah.
just about the money, it's about having the right people. Because you talk about cortisol and stress. I've been on like this 2-year journey. I'm like 15 months sober. I do acupuncture. I eat a very clean diet, and it's all to kind of reduce because it's a high stress business. You wake up every day unemployed
It
and you have
is.
to go out there and hustle to put food on the table. And like you really have to guard your time really well and be careful who you let in your life. But you also have to be willing to speak your truth. Like, what is your truth? If your
Mm-hmm.
truth is that you have 2 kids under 3, then that's what it is.
Right.
You just have to like be honest with people. I have 3 kids under 10, and I just tell
Right.
people that. And my goal is to give people the best service possible. And I know I'm gonna miss stuff for my kids, but I'm not gonna miss stuff just to miss it. I'm gonna miss it
Yeah.
because it's a high value, high touch activity. If it's not high value, not high touch, you will see me on a hockey rink or on a baseball field or a dance
Yes.
studio or a gymnastics place, but you're not seeing me
Right.
work.
That's awesome. No, I love it. I think it's a great way to model
And
your
we've been
business.
able to do, like I said, 35 deals a year. I mean, right now we're having a crisis of transactions, but we've still been able to do $20 million a year for the last 10 years in a row. And I think that attributes to the systems, because to be that consistent really requires, because I've seen too many agents do 20 million one year, 5 million the next year, 10 million the year after that. Then they have a $30 million year, then they have a $2 million year. And that just shows me that they're not consistently prospecting.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's anyone watching this, the one thing you cannot tell people is that you're too busy.
Mm-hmm.
I always say to people, I always have time for referrals for the right clients.
Mm-hmm.
Because if people hear you say you're too busy, then they think, oh, they can't handle my referrals. And it's really critical, because words matter, to be very careful about how you're branding yourself in the marketing. So the marketing that we put out there is that we're always able to take on new clients. Too many agents will go on social media and they'll tell people exactly how they feel. And social media is a devil and a curse, and it's also a blessing. So you have to know which one you're using it for. I put out only work, a little bit about my family, and that's it on social
Yeah.
media. And I just want to build a brand that we're here to help families so that we can help our family.
And you have such a clear why. And for me,
Yeah.
it resonates with me. I want to, like, I'm always saying, like, time is my
Yeah.
thing. The more time I can get with my family, that works. You might not have kids, you might be listening to this and you have a whole different why. It could be
That's totally
travel. It
cool.
could be,
Yeah.
yeah,
Whatever
but
your
you need
why
to
is.
be able to drill down into that, because that's what keeps you consistent from what I
Yes.
can see, and keeps you focused. And it is in those moments that you want to be so busy. Say there's a crazy transaction for,
Right.
going on for, or you have some big development, or there's something that really eats up 3 to 6 months. It can't just be that we only focus on that. That's what the
Right.
antithesis of what you do is. You don't
Right.
let that, just that time goes by and now where's my pipeline, right? Like every single week you're kind of building that no matter how busy you are of the season. Um,
Right.
I guess last question would be, does this change for you? I know personally the way we've seen it, and that's more like of a macro level, like the summers and the winters being so quiet has really, they've kind of gotten closer and closer together. This, especially this year, the spring market started pretty early, but is there a difference in your routine and what you're doing and like kind of the quieter months, like around the holidays or in the summer?
Yeah. I mean, so Joanne and I both acknowledge that we are imperfect humans living in an imperfect world. And so we have all these systems in place, but we've learned to know when we need to be flexible. And, so sometimes in the busy season, like I haven't attended one of our marketing Mondays in like 3 weeks because I've been so busy with client activities. But in the wintertime, it's like hammer down. Like there's
Yep.
no reason to miss anything. And the wintertime is a great time in the off seasons, or summertime too, to be getting in those one-to-ones that you missed with the lawyers and the lenders that you just can't do during the busy season when you're showing property. Because
Hmm.
the business is very seasonal. You do a high production. My biggest closing months are typically April, May, June, July, August. And then the
Hmm.
rest of the year, it's just, it all averages out when you take a 12-month average, but that's the busiest core time. And so we just know that, knowing that's the busiest core time, like I've been calling me asking me for copies now. And I was like, I'm sorry, I missed your window. I can meet with you in the summertime or in the off season, but right now it's just hammer down with clients because it's all volume time right now. And you kind of have to acknowledge that as an agent. You kind of have to say, this is my time to focus on the business. Not to say you won't transact in the winter. I mean, I think we had like one of our best first quarters, but we'll do like 4 million in the first quarter. Whereas in the second quarter, we might do 10 or 15. And like
Hmm.
you have to know that seasonality so that you can stay calm and be productive. Because sometimes the biggest flaw, and I have it too, is we panic. Are we going out of business? It's December, the phone's not ringing. Am I going out of business? Should I put $10,000 towards this, like blasting my whole town with envelopes and postcards or go in the newspaper? But you never do that stuff, right?
Hmm.
And so that's that panic, that reaction time. And you have to just say, oh my, deep breath. Let's look at my
Right.
meeting minutes from this time last year, and you look and notice, oh my, it's quiet. Note to future self, December's quiet.
Right.
And then you kind of articulate that, and then you stay cool. You just do your normal routines, and then when the high season comes, having a great spring market. We're recording this as we go into March. having a great spring market starts in October. So, did you do your client event? So last October, Joanne and I did a client event. We invited all 350 people in our database to come and have lunch on us at a great restaurant in Concord. We had 100 people show up. But the cool part is the 250 didn't come. They were responding to the paperless post. They got phone calls and text messages from us. We had all these client touches. And then we sent out our holiday cards and we do those handwritten notes. And that all sets the stage for right now.
Yeah.
But right now, as we go into the spring market, all those clients that we were touching 6 months ago are now saying, oh, the weather's beautiful. It's time to make the move.
I love that.
And that's really, you got to be thinking 6 months out in real estate and always be looking 6 months ahead.
I love that.
Yeah.
One thing I want to leave everyone with too, if you're listening to this, and I just thought of this as you were talking, but it's so refreshing I like how you set things up. And for me, it's so refreshing to work with you, especially in a world where everyone expects things like yesterday and they feel like they need to respond tomorrow. And like you're so consistent with responses. And like even this, I had to reschedule and I felt bad when we had to reschedule. It's like, you don't care, no sweat off your back. And you're like, hey, I can do this in 2 weeks. And that is like such a breath of fresh air because it's like, we're recording this, right? It's not really like brain surgery. And it can get done, but instead of someone being like, I can fit you in tomorrow between, it's this frantic energy that I think we feel like we look like we care and we want to do this right now. And that might be the case. But I guess I'm trying to say that for anyone listening to this thinking, if I change my style, will people think I don't care or that I'm not like addressing them with urgency? No. And chances are, if you're giving off that very calm, like the steady hand, that feeling, if someone has something urgent, that would have been easy for me to just reply and say, hey, I'd really love to do this in the next 4 days. And then we could have gone from there. But it's actually a better way to be than that kind of like frantic, I have to reply to you and then replying too quick and things aren't well thought out. So I think it's a big movement toward like, and we got to this last time we did a podcast too, like sort of adjusting. Everybody needs to make a big adjustment. It's about you, like kind of you go first, right? And then everyone sort of starts to fall in line that you're interacting.
I tell people too, I've had the same primary care doctor in Concord for like 20 years, and he's like a friend of mine. But if I called him up and said, I need to see you in an hour, he would tell me to go to the ER.
Yeah, right.
Right. And it's and like I'm not gonna say, oh, he's giving me less care because he won't see me in an hour. And not that I would equate realtors to like doctors, but same if I called my favorite lawyer, if I called my CPA, particularly right now in the middle of tax season, they would all give me the same response.
If I called my mother and said I need you in an hour, no, I'm just kidding. But really, like there's very few people that can just drop everything. And if they are, they're going to do that to you probably as well.
Absolutely. And so I had that happen to me actually over the winter time. I was going to one of my son's hockey games. I got a referral for someone who wanted to buy a house in Concord. And I talked to the woman and she said, I want to see a house in 3 hours. And I said, that's great. I can't do it. And she said, you can't do it. I said, no. And she's like, how about tomorrow? I was like, nope, I already have plans tomorrow. And I was like, but I'm happy to set up a call with you during the week. And then she goes to me. And it turned out she never bought a house, and so, but I've learned over the years that when you jump, oftentimes people are wasting your time because really the people that are most serious, I'm going to say 9 out of 10 times, they're willing to take a plan, take a beat. They're not buying a $300,000 or a $30,000. They're buying a $300,000 to $30 million. And that's not a decision that they're going to make at the split second. And so if you understand that and are willing to live that and have that integrity, you can have everything you want. This business can give you everything you want.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And just for people that are watching this on our YouTube channel, we have about 50 videos on like how to build like a really great real estate business. It's something that we enjoy. We love helping other people, not just our clients, but realtors can check that out if they want more. I mean, I love these realties. I watch them every week. Consistent.
Thank you.
You do a great job. You have great guests. So
thank you. I love all of your videos too. And you guys are doing an incredible job with Google and just in general, like the YouTube presence and stuff. So we'll keep going. I'm sure we'll be back again.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. And just to leave everyone with, where can they find you? Is there somewhere you can point them?
Yeah, they can go to our website, tomandjoanneteam.com, or info@tomandjoanneteam.com is our email that goes to both Joanne and I. We're easy to find. We keep it simple.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Have a great day.
You too.